We recently discussed how Donald Trump sat down with Kristen Welker as part of his first 100 days in office interview, and I pretty much came to the conclusion that Donald Trump is an adult old man who is living inside of his own delusion. Now, we already discussed the economics portion of that interview, where we learned that Donald Trump still has no plan moving forward as far as the economy goes. He still has no idea how tariffs work and how they're going to be detrimental to the everyday American. And while those things are important, Donald Trump also said a whole bunch of other things that should be chilling to each and every American. You know, when I think about a president, I think about somebody who is a good faith actor who is going to try to uphold our Constitution, somebody who is going to respect our rule of law. But Donald Trump proved yet again in this interview that he still has absolutely none of those things. So let's go ahead and take a look at a few more clips from this Kristen Welker interview. And we'll go ahead and start off with this one where he is asked about his conversation with Jeff Bezos. If you guys do appreciate my work, please do remember to subscribe.
What did you say to Jeff Bezos?
He's just a very nice guy. We have a relationship. I asked him about it. He said, well, I don't want to do that. And he took it off immediately.
So he changed course. And will you take that same tactic with other CEOs if you
I'll
feel
always
like...
call people if I disagree with them. If I think that somebody's doing something that's incorrect, wrong, or maybe hurtful to the country, I'll call, absolutely. Wouldn't you want me to call? Biden wouldn't call because he didn't know what was happening, but I do.
So for those that are not aware of what they're talking about here, there was some reporting out there that maybe Amazon or one of their sister sites were going to display tariff costs next to the final price or whatever on one of the websites. And Donald Trump got wind of that, and he called up Jeff Bezos, and Jeff Bezos reversed that decision, which should not be happening in a capitalist society with free markets. It should not be okay for a president of the United States to have that much sway in private markets. This would not be acceptable under any other president. But because these tariffs have the opportunity to make Donald Trump look bad, and Donald Trump wants none of that, he called up Jeff Bezos and pressured him, whatever he did, to get him to reverse that decision. It just should not be happening in the United States. Let's go ahead and move on to this one, where he's asked whether or not he is defying the Supreme Court when it comes to Kilmar Abrego Garcia.
You said in a recent interview you could bring him back, but you won't. Are you defying the Supreme Court, sir?
No, I'm relying on the Attorney General of the United States, Pam Bondi, who's very capable, doing a great job, because I'm not involved in the legality or the illegality. I have lawyers to do that, and that's why I have a great DOJ. We have a great one. We had a very corrupt one before. Now we have a great one. And they're not viewing the decision the way you said it. They don't view it that way at all. They think it's a totally different decision.
This is unacceptable. Donald Trump has been doing this over and over and over again. He says, oh, no, it's the lawyers. It's on them. It's on the DOJ. They're telling me something completely different. So how could I possibly be ignoring the Supreme Court? But that is exactly what he is doing. The Supreme Court, in a 9-0 decision, said that they needed to facilitate the return of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. And to this day, they have made no attempts to actually get this man back. Instead, they're trying to play these games, trying to say, oh, well, that's not what the DOJ said. I'm just following what my lawyers say. I'm not involved in the legality of all this. This is unacceptable. This is a man who is either too old and addled to understand that he is defying the Supreme Court, or it's a president of the United States throwing our country into a constitutional crisis by ignoring the Supreme Court on purpose. He already admitted that he could call Bukele and get this man back, except they have made no attempts to get him back at all. Absolutely disgusting behavior. Let's go ahead and move on to this disturbing question, where he is asked whether or not everyone deserves due process.
Your Secretary of State says everyone who's here, citizens and non-citizens, deserve due process. Do you agree, Mr. President?
I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know.
Well, the Fifth Amendment says
I don't know. It might say that, but if you're talking about that, then we'd have to have 1 million or 2 million or 3 million trials. We have thousands of people that are some murderers and some drug dealers and some of the worst people on earth. Some of the worst, most dangerous people on earth. And I was elected to get them the hell out of here, and the courts are holding me from doing it.
But even given those numbers that you're talking about, Don't you need to uphold the Constitution of the United States as
I
president?
don't know. I have to respond by saying again, I have brilliant lawyers that work for me.
You don't know if you need to uphold the Constitution? You don't know if everybody deserves due process? How is it possible that the President of the United States has absolutely no clue as to what our Constitution says? The Constitution is very clear. Anybody who is in this country, who is under the jurisdiction of the United States, deserves and has a right to due process. This is not a hard one. It's very, very clear. And when you start stripping away due process from the outgroup or people that you find or that you don't like, it's only a matter of time before they start stripping away due process to American citizens. And Donald Trump has already promised that he wants to start sending American citizens off to a gulag in El Salvador. This should disturb each and every American. Our Constitution is very, very clear. Due process is a fundamental pillar of a free society. And when you are starting to round people up without any due process and shipping them off to a torturous prison in El Salvador, nobody has any freedom at that point. Because you are now have no legal recourse to try to, dissuade or prove against the claims that the government is making against you. This is completely antithetical to our system. Donald Trump should be impeached for this. Stripping away due process like he is, it is antithetical to the founding of our country, it's antithetical to a free society. This is just another one of those authoritarian tendencies that we are seeing with this administration, and it should terrify each and every American. Let's go ahead and move on to this one, where he's asked about targeting his perceived enemies with his executive orders.
Last month, you directed your Attorney General, Pam Bondi, to review 2 people who you perceived to be your political adversaries. And yet you told me in December that you would not direct the Justice Department to investigate your political foes. What changed?
Well, no, I just look at people, and I'm not directing anybody. They looked at these 2 people. They might have known it, or they might have heard it from 2 years ago. One person said he knew me so well. He was, I think, on CNN or MSDNC, but they're both failing networks here.
Sorry about that pause in there. But here he is again, trying to shirk all responsibility for what he himself is doing. Donald Trump signed 2 executive orders targeting Christopher Krebs and Miles Taylor. These are his perceived enemies that he is directly targeting with executive orders. This should be unconstitutional. I wouldn't be surprised if this got challenged up to the courts and is unconstitutional. But this is something that Donald Trump promised when he was running for election, right? We knew he was going to go on a revenge tour, and that is exactly what we are seeing with Chris Krebs and Miles Taylor. And then listen to how he elaborates on why he supposedly targeted these individuals.
I have no idea who this guy is. And he's out there, and then he did a book called Anonymous. I think that's really subversion. I think it's spying. It's something really bad.
But you passed an executive order calling for your Attorney General to investigate that.
For a long time. And the other one said that the election was so wonderful. It was it turned out it wasn't a wonderful election. It was a corrupt election.
So let me translate for you. Because these people spoke out against Donald Trump's narrative, telling the truth, well, that is why Donald Trump has to go after him. Oh, he wrote a book called Anonymous, and he was critical of me in that book. So of course I had to go after him. Christopher Krebs, well, he said that we had a fair election, and it wasn't a fair election. I mean, the facts are very clear. It's not a fair election. So Christopher Krebs told the truth about the 2020 election being one of the fairest and freest elections in our country, and that is why Donald Trump is going after him. This is, again, antithetical to what a president of the United States should be doing in office. This should be another impeachable offense. He's literally targeting individuals with executive orders. He is going after people he perceives as his enemies. And just think about how Orwellian this actually is, especially when it comes to Chris Krebs, who told the truth about the 2020 election. And now Donald Trump is going after him because he told the truth, because it was, against Donald Trump's narrative of a stolen election. He's literally targeting somebody for telling the truth. It's absolutely disgusting. He's then asked point blank about his authoritarian impulses.
What do you say to those who believe you are taking the country down an authoritarian path?
Well, there you go again. Why don't you ask it a different way? Many people wanted to come into our country. Many people love Trump. I won the election. They didn't win the election. I got a lot more votes than they did. I won the popular vote. I won all 7 swing states by a lot. A lot of people were surprised. I said, I think you could win 4, maybe 5. No, I won all 7, and I won by a lot. And I won, actually, I think there was a lot of hanky-panky going on, but it was too big to rig. That's the good news. It's too big to rig. But let me just say, so when you make these statements about, people say this, well, they had their chance at the election and they lost big. So you should ask the question differently.
You should ask the question differently, Kristen. Why would you ask the question like that? It might make me look a little bit bad. What? Donald Trump is a pathetic man-child. He is doing authoritarian things. He is trying a fascist coup right here in the good old US of A. He's going after law firms that may have worked on cases against him. He's going after individuals with executive orders. He's trying to meddle in private universities like Harvard, trying to get them to bend to his will. All of these things are authoritarian. All of these things should not be acceptable or tolerated in the United States of America. And now we've got the authoritarian wannabe himself sitting here going after the reporter for asking a mildly tough question, saying, you can't ask me questions like that. I mean, this man is pathetic. He is a petulant man baby, a malignant narcissist who can't stand the slightest bit of pushback. Anybody who looks up to this guy as some sort of leader, as some sort of strong leader or whatever, all these MAGA people have been duped. It is so gross. Let's go on and move on to this question where he's asked about the Russia and Ukraine deal. And see if you can catch what he's trying to say. This is another example of an addled old man.
So you think you're close to a deal? What will Russia have to give up? Because Ukraine, there's been discussions they will have to give up some of the land.
Russia will have to give up all of Ukraine because that's what they want.
All of Ukraine, meaning they wouldn't keep any of the land that they've claimed?
Russia would have to give up all of Ukraine because what Russia wants is all of Ukraine. And if I didn't get involved, they would be fighting right now for all of Ukraine. Russia doesn't want the strip that they have now. Russia wants all of Ukraine.
This man's brain is broken. The question was, well, what is Russia going to have to give up if you guys come to some sort of deal? Oh, well, Russia's going to have to give up all of Ukraine, of course. Yeah, that would be the ideal scenario, right? Russia would give back all of Ukraine's land. Obviously, that's not what Donald Trump meant. His brain is so broken, he can't, make it through these thoughts in a comprehensive or even a coherent way. So he says, well, Russia needs to give up all of Ukraine. What he's probably meaning to say is that they need to, be happy with what they have already taken from Ukraine, and they can't want any more of Ukraine. They can't want all of Ukraine. I think that's what he was probably trying to say. But again, this is an addled old man. He has no original thought. He can't think through these complex topics. Again, he's a demented old man who should not be president of the United States. And then he goes on to attack Jasmine Crockett here.
No, I think we have a tremendous party. And you know what I can't name? I can't name one Democrat. I mean, I look at the Democrats. They're in total disarray. They have a new person named Crockett. I watched her speak the other day. She's definitely a low IQ person. And they said, she's the future of the party. I said, you have to be kidding. I don't know what they're going to do.
Let's just say it's not a good look when you're calling a strong black woman a low IQ individual? Tell me she's not living rent-free in your brain without telling me. I mean, come on. Jasmine Crockett is one of the strong voices that we have in the Democratic Party right now. She is, fearless when she's speaking out against this administration, and apparently it's getting to the adult old man here. I'm quite surprised that her name even came up at all, but you can tell that he must be concerned because that's just how Donald Trump operates. That's how he works, right? He wouldn't bring this up unless she was living rent-free in his brain. But again, guys, this stuff should be concerning. He's going after individuals with executive orders. He's asked about authoritarianism and attacks the reporter. He still has not returned Kilmar Abrego Garcia, even after a Supreme Court told him that he needed to do so. He is openly defying the Supreme Court, and then when he's cornered on it, he tries to blame his lawyer, say, "Oh, I'm not in charge of any of that. I don't know the legality." And what's even more concerning is he says, "Well, I don't know if I need to uphold the Constitution. Oh, and I really don't know if everybody in this country deserves due process." And then goes on to some tangent about, "Oh, well, there's thousands of people. They can't all get a trial." That's not even what due process means. Do not let MAGA continue to float this bullshit narrative. Just because you're providing due process doesn't mean that everybody needs a jury trial that's going to be dragged out for months. Due process could be as little as a 15-minute hearing before an immigration judge, which is what a lot of this would boil down to anyway. So do not let them sell you this narrative as though it is too much to ask to give everybody due process. Again, it is a fundamental pillar of our society. And you would not accept this in any other place in the world. If you crossed over the Mexico border, that does not give them the right to have their way with you in whatever way they want with you. Just think it through for just one damn second. Just because you cross over a border does not give that country the right to enslave you, to send you to a torturous prison down in El Salvador, to condemn you to a life sentence just because you crossed some line in the dirt. Just think about it for 2 seconds. And when you've got a president of the United States who doesn't even know the basic fundamentals of our Constitution, that should be frightening to each and every one of you as he continues his authoritarian takeover. So I will leave it there for now, guys. If you guys got anything out of this video, please do remember to smash that like button and subscribe. Maybe share with a friend or two. I'd very much appreciate that. We are trying to build something here on the left that adequately pushes back against this right-wing media ecosystem that just covers up all of this fascist nonsense for Donald Trump every single day. So if you do like what I do here, please do remember to smash that subscribe button. It is free. And if you guys want to see how Donald Trump tried to talk his way through the economics portion of this interview, do watch that video on the screen now. It is a doozy. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next one.